when we're actually looking at the science behind keeping your calendars and your bookings and your capacity full, the reality is that you need an actual strategy to do that. The reality is if you do invest in your marketing with the right type of marketing, you can ensure that you have that steady stream of leads. So if you don't have a website as a salon owner, your first step would be get a fully functional website. We actually build websites for salon owners as well. When you're building a client base that values your expertise, pays premium pricing and stays, the reality is that's when you start enjoying more of what you're doing. Because welcome to Diary of the Search Queen, the go-to podcast for salon owners ready to ditch the algorithm and get found by their dream clients on Google. I'm Sonja Patutsky-Raymond, aka Sonja the Search Queen, founder of the Search Republic, and after helping salons generate millions in client bookings, I'm here to show you how to create a reliable, low-stress lead flow without living on your phone. Ready to stop chasing and start filling chairs with ease? Let's go. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about how to keep your salon chairs actually full. So just to set the scene and what we're going to discuss today, we're going to discuss the feast or the famine cycle that so many salon owners know way too well. And I want to speak to that busy 1 week and then crickets the next week strategy that we see in a lot of the salon owners that first come to us. Now, when we're actually looking at the science behind keeping your calendars and your bookings and your capacity full, the reality is that you need an actual strategy to do that. And that's not built on hope, or it's not built on the social media gods, or it's not built on the salon owner gods, for example. It is down to a secret, which is basically predictable marketing equals predictable bookings. So if you find marketing that actually works, that is very strategic, that is your secret sauce to giving you your freedom back, both time freedom and financial freedom, and free you up as well to speaking to the reality is when you're wearing all these hats, you're wearing all these hats because you feel like you can't afford to invest in a team member to take that load off your plate. The reality is if you do invest in your marketing with the right type of marketing, you can ensure that you have that steady stream of leads. And when you have that steady stream of leads, that means that you can actually spend more time with the people that you love the most without stressing about your salon being under capacity. So the reality is relying on word of mouth and socials actually keeps you stuck. So think about the amount of time that you spend on creating just organic content and then relying on people to refer you because you're a great hairdresser. Like, that's not really a smart strategy. Fair enough, in the earlier days, that might be what you do to get your salon off the ground. But realistically speaking, Google should be treated as business development arm of your salon. It works 24/7. It's like your silent salesperson that never takes a sick day. And can you imagine like having one of those people in your business that drives leads to your salon on autopilot? Wouldn't you want that? Like, absolutely. The reality is when Google Ads is done right and SEO is done right, it actually pays for itself and you make profit on top when you have the right strategists on board. That's the typical results that we start to see within that first 90 days. Is that I'm sure that if you were a salon owner and you're like, oh, a bit on the fence. And then if I was to tell you that we had a salon owner, just as I've only met with her the other day, she went live in June, right, with her Google Ads campaign, and in the first month it generated 25 grand in new bookings to her salon. And then for what it actually cost her, she made 25 times return on investment in the first 6 weeks that the ads went live. If I told you that that is potentially possible for you too, wouldn't you want to actually have that business development arm in your salon? You absolutely would. The reality is you are in business to grow and to provide that financial freedom and that time freedom. But the reality is, as a salon owner at this day and age, a lot of people that I speak to, the reality is that they don't have that time freedom and they don't have that financial freedom because they are worrying about their stylists that they have employed, having very little clients to fill their capacity. And it actually costs the salon owner so much more revenue because not only are you paying them the hourly rate, but you're paying them an hourly rate for a return that you're not making back because it's an empty booking. Quick break. If you're a salon owner, sick of posting every day with nothing to show for it, or you're staring at the gaps in the books again next week, well, we can help. So book a free call with my team using the link in the show notes and let's map out a Google strategy that brings in dream clients without the daily hustle. Now, back to the episode. So what I want to speak to is like the first system is what we want to do to rectify your salon owner, to rectify the issue. We want to make sure your salon chairs stay full. And in order to do that, it is a system. So the first system I'm going to speak to is the lead flow. So new clients are searching right now, right? So if you can think about your ideal client and like best blonde specialist in Perth, or best blonde specialist in the Northern Beaches, or best blonde specialist in Arrowtown in New Zealand, for example, right? You want to be able to come up in those searches for people that are actively looking for what it is that you do. Okay. Now, the secret sauce to this is that most salon owners aren't even aware about the untapped potential about like the cost per clicks that are happening right now on Google. Meta ads, if I take one of my clients, Coastal Blondes, that we spoke to recently, it cost her $15 to acquire a new client on Meta. When she switched to Google Ads, the cost per click was $1, I think is what she was spending per click. On Meta, she was spending $5. And the cost to acquire a new client was actually a third of what she was paying on Meta. Like, isn't that absolutely mind-blowing? And the reason is why it's so cheap right now on Google is because there's not many salon owners tapping into the power of Google, because all their competitors are on socials, that they think that that's where they should be. And the reality is you should have that. You should urge yourself and challenge yourself to be that first mover advantage and get your salon on Google through a process of paid ads and organic, or if you can do both, fantastic. That is your utopia. But at a minimum, you should really be running ads, but you can only run ads to a website that actually works. So if you don't have a website as a salon owner, your first step would be get a fully functional website. We actually build websites for salon owners as well. But it's to actually have a website that is actually going to convert when somebody arrives on your site. You don't want to build a website where it's going to confuse them. Now, most web developers do not have that user journey behavior skill set. So meaning that when somebody comes on the website, we want to make sure that we can nurture that potential client and get them to make a booking straight away, rather than having too many steps on your website and confusing the life out of your ideal client, because then they're not going to end up in a booking. So think of it like that SEO and Google Ads together gives you that consistency, because you'll be dominating the search result, not only in the ad section, but you'll also be dominating the map section. So your local listings, your Google business profile, making sure you're showing up there. And we'll also make sure that you're showing up in the organic search result as well. So it means that if anybody types into Google exactly what it is that you do, you're showing up everywhere on Google. So there's no possible way that you won't get leads from that, because there's so many people that aren't tapping into the potential of Google when it comes to salon owners. Now, when we're talking about another system, I'm talking about retention. So we don't just want to fill your chairs. I would be looking at your internal salon client experience. Like, how is your retention rate? Do you like get the next booking in the diary, or do you just leave your clients walk out the door? Because if you don't retain the clients you already have, you're not going to be able to compound and grow your salon, because it is very much focused, and there is a level of focus that needs to be retaining your existing clients and retaining your new clients as well that come through the doors. But also with the retention side of things, there is a lot of automations that you could do as well. So you don't necessarily need to have it all manual. You can have your reminders go out to your people on your database. Like if you have any of your booking software like Forest or Katumba or Get Timely, you can get access to all of their numbers and stuff like that, and then you can send out an SMS campaign to them to get them to rebook. You could have some rebooking scripts with some chatbots that also will encourage them to rebook, and then you can also have a loyalty program. The reality is retention and retaining what you already have is what's going to move the needle, and it is also an opportunity to upsell your existing services within Salon as well. So I often say to our salon owners that have product, I'm a partner with L'Oreal Pro, so they send clients our way, but a lot of these salons that are L'Oreal salons, they actually stock the L'Oreal product in the salon. Now, we wouldn't be recommending going after product on Google. The reality is that there are so many other people that are bidding on those key terms. But when it comes to in-salon service, there is no reason, and there shouldn't be any reason as to why your stylists aren't upselling the product in salon to those clients. But I think it's important for you to identify the touch points internally, and what does that flow look like internally, from when the client books to having their service to when they're walking out again. What does the points of communication need to happen in that process to ensure that they retain with you? Okay. Now, when we're talking about another system is the scaling wisely system. So keeping those chairs full isn't about more clients. It's about the right type of clients. we have often had clients come to us. They're like, yeah, we're fully booked, but we have the wrong type of clients, meaning that they don't have their ideal clients ready to pay their premium services. Now, when you don't have a solid strategy to go after those ideal clients, it's very hard to be full with the right type of clients. When it comes to Google, remember, you're actually fishing for salmon, but we just need to make sure we have the right bait to catch the salmon. And in order to do that, that comes back to your marketing strategy on how you're going about that. Remember, the Google Ads side of things when it comes to Google is driving leads to your salon on autopilot. So you're not having to put up a post and hoping that people will come through the doors for your balayage services or your live-in blondes. It's kind of a case of, no, this is what we're going after, because people are actually searching. Okay, there is so much of the heavy lifting you're taking out of it because you're letting Google do the heavy lifting for you. So when you're building a client base that values your expertise, pays premium pricing and stays, the reality is that's when you start enjoying more of what you're doing, because you are going to be fully booked with the right type of clients, not just taking the scraps or whatever comes your way. It's like, no, we actually just want to be booked with our high premium clients and be very specific on that. And the thing is, you can reverse engineer your marketing strategy on Google to fit just that. Okay. So keeping your chairs full doesn't happen by luck. It happens by design. And that, my friend, is what I can help you with. If today's episode spoke to your salon soul, then hit subscribe so you don't miss the next round of strategy and support. For more help filling your books without the burnout, then check the show notes and you'll find a link to the Search Republic, where we build simple Google strategies that actually work. And if we're not already connected, come and say hi to me on the gram at Sonja the Search Queen, and I'd love to hear what landed for you today.